Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the CD guy, Johnny Z here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel, and today I'm going to be creating the ultimate acdc set list for their return at Power Trip this October. This video actually came about because about a month ago when I did my review of the new Guns N' Roses song, back when that came out, right, Perhaps, somebody had commented saying, didn't you do a video making a dream set list for the acdc reunion show at Power Trip? And I said, no, you must be thinking of somebody else. But, I thought, that's a great idea for a video. And I've done a bunch of dream or ultimate set list videos in the past. I'll leave a playlist down in the comment section below. So I thought, why not? And so, when it comes to acdc, very exciting to see them, get back together for Power Trip, make their triumphant return. Hopefully everything goes well. And, there's a lot of speculation around the band and what's going to come after as well. I think a lot of that is dependent on how this show goes. But when it comes down to it, no doubt it's going to be a pretty awesome set and a great sight to see the band back on stage. So when you're putting together a dream or ultimate set list here for acdc, you have to be somewhat realistic. You have to, realize that Brian Johnson's in his 70s. So, you have to make a set list that is bearable for his voice, considering the fact that, again, he's in his 70s now. And, you have to think more along the lines of, well, what songs are definitely going to be in that set list? So, I figure they're playing a 2-hour set, they're headlining Power Trip the night that they're headlining, probably 16 to 18 songs, something like that. So, there's probably about 10 songs that are absolute locks for this set, and then the rest I just, filled with some deep cuts of some personal favorites of mine. So, that said, let's get started here. The way I envision the band getting back up on stage for the first time in, my god, almost 7 years. So, I think they should open with something off their most recent album, that being Power Up. I'm going to go with Shot in the Dark here as the live set opener. I think it'd just be great. The lights go out, then you hear that opening riff, right, that bam, 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 and out come acdc, and they get right into it here with Shot in the Dark. Fantastic song, made for a great lead single for Power Up when it came out, and at the time signified that the band were back, right, and Power Up was a great return album. So I think what better way for this song to signify once again that the band is back than for it to kick off their Power Trip set and, of course, plug the new record as well. I don't know if you can really call it a new album anymore. We're going on 3 years, but it is their most recent album, and I do really enjoy it. And I think that Shot in the Dark is one of the best tracks from this record. So for me, I can't think of a better way to kick off the live set than with Shot in the Dark off of Power Up. Great song, great vibe to it as well, and once again signifies that the band are back. Track number 2, let's go with Shoot to Thrill off of Back in Black, another absolute classic here. Can't imagine an acdc set post Back in Black without it, so of course it had to be in the set, and I do think it makes for a great second song and kind of keeps the vibe going, coming off a Shot in the Dark here, so definitely had to go with Shoot to Thrill here. Fantastic song as well, of course, very fun live track, and one of my favorites from Back in Black, so have to put it in the set list here. I think it makes for a great second track. For track 3, let's stick with the Back in Black record here and go with the title track, Back in Black. I also thought about maybe having this be the live set opener, considering lyrically it's very apropos, right? I'm back, the lyrics like that definitely work, signify that the band are, returning. But Back in Black, as far as I can remember, has usually been a song that's been early on in the set, so I think track 3 is fair here in this live set for Back in Black. Amazing title track, has one of the most recognizable riffs in all of rock history, and fantastic song, great lyrics, always been a classic live song, so of course it had to be in this set list. I think it makes for a really solid third track here, so for track number 3, let's go with Back in Black. Let's go to the Bon Scott era of the band for the first time here for this video and this set list. Let's go with Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, another title track, great song, a classic that always seems to be, somewhat early on in acdc sets, so definitely a song that was a must-have for the acdc set list, so I think track number 4 is a fair placement for it. One of my favorites from the Bon Scott era, and of course Brian always did great justice to this song live. Whether I prefer Bon or Brian doing this song live, it's really a toss-up. Ultimately, I'm more of a Bon Scott fan than a Brian Johnson fan, but I always thought this song fit Brian Johnson's voice really, really well, and he always pulled it off great live, so definitely going to be in the acdc set. That's probably one of the most predictable, in my opinion, is having Dirty Deeds in this set, because the big crowd sing along in some respects as well. So it's going to be in their set, and I think track number 4 is fine placement, in my opinion. Classic song from the Bon era here. Love it when Brian does it as well. Going to go with Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap as track number 4. Another for sure song in their set list is going to be If You Want Blood, You've Got It, because, spoiler alert, they already shared a clip. It was an audio clip of Cliff Williams getting ready in the studio, and you can hear Brian's vocals in the background as well, performing If You Want Blood, just practicing for this set. So if they're practicing this song, then they're definitely going to be doing it live. Great song, sticking with the Bon Scott era here. One of my favorite tracks from Highway to Hell. My personal favorite album with Bon Scott in the band. A perfect record here, and If You Want Blood is a classic. So, going to be great to hear it live once again with Brian Johnson. And, yeah, I think that really came as a surprise to me to hear some of that rehearsal audio and that they were working on If You Want Blood, which just sounds really cool. And I think still, based on the audio we've heard in 2023, it still sounds great. So that's going to be incredible, and I'm really looking forward to hearing this song live. Why do AC/DC always forget Flick of the Switch? I mean, it's one of those albums that hardcore AC/DC fans recognize as an absolute classic, but outside of the hardcore fans, it seems like, it's very underrated amongst a lot of people. So I never understood why it was so underrated. It's one of my personal favorites from the Brian Johnson era, and so with that in mind, for track number 6 here, let's go with the title track, Flick of the Switch. I think that seeing that we're celebrating 40 years of Flick of the Switch this year, it would be very appropriate to include something from that album finally in their live sets, an album that they've largely ignored for many years, and this, for me personally, it's one of those personal preferences. I'd love to hear something live, really anything live from Flick of the Switch, but again, seeing that it's 40 years old this year, I think the title track would probably be the most realistic option, and I'd love to hear it, But again, really anything from Flick of the Switch here for track number 6. For track 7, we have Thunderstruck. Personally, I could probably do without Thunderstruck because we've heard it 8 million times, but it's a live staple and one of their most recognizable and famous songs with that guitar intro, right, and that crowd participation part at the beginning, so they're definitely going to be including it. There's no doubt about it, so, again, adding a realistic aspect here to this ultimate set list. It's going to be in the set. There's no denying it, so that's why I have it here at track number 7. I don't dislike it. I just think there are a lot of better songs on the Razor's Edge record. I really enjoyed this album quite a bit, but when it comes down to it, Thunderstruck will absolutely be in the set, so there's no denying it on the ultimate set list here. So for track number 7, we have Thunderstruck from the Razor's Edge album from 1990. Time for a Bon Scott era deep cut here. Track 8, Bad Boy Boogie, one of my favorites off of Let There Be Rock, which is a pretty perfect album from top to bottom. Not a bad song on here. Bad Boy Boogie, a personal favorite of mine from the Bon era, another classic track in my opinion, and one that doesn't get played as often as it should anymore. Was a staple, I believe, in their live sets throughout the 80s with Brian Johnson in the band, but has not been played too commonly since, but I definitely love to hear it as the band return here. I think it's a great track from the Bond era and would fit really well with Brian's voice here in 2023. Track 9, Hell's Bells from Back in Black, probably my favorite Brian Johnson era AC/DC song. Again, it's a definite for the set list here, one of the more predictable entries I'd say, but absolutely has to be in the set, and it's a great live song, always has been. Some of my favorite Angus Young riffage in this track, so when it comes down to it, it's got some awesome lyrics, some great riffs going on as well, fantastic imagery with the bell lowering, right, and here you can see the actual drawn-to-scale image of the bell. It's actually this big. No, but seriously, it has to be in the set. It's a great, great song, an absolute classic, and I can't wait to hear it live once again, so for track number 9, I'm going to go with Hell's Bells. Another deep cut here from the Bon Scott era, personal preference for me. Let's go with Rock and Roll Damnation from Power Age. I mean, an iconic track in my opinion that's very underrated as far as I'm concerned. It's a song that always sounded fantastic when they did it live, and, when Brian did it live as well, it sounded fine as well. So very intrigued by the possibility that they could be doing some deeper tracks on this set here, and if they were to do something like Rock and Roll Damnation, I would absolutely lose it. I think that would be awesome, and for me, when it comes down to putting in a few deep cuts here, because of course you have to contend with the predictable tracks that are definitely going to be in there. Rock and Roll Damnation is right at the top of my list for songs that I'd love to hear them do live. So with that said, it's track number 10 here from the Power Age record. I'm going to go with Rock and Roll Damnation. Track number 11 now, it's going to be a tribute to Malcolm Young with Through the Mists of Time from the Power Up record. When I first heard this track on Power Up, it was definitely a song that was a little jarring for AC/DC. It's kind of ballady. It's very different from what we're used to. However, one thing was apparent, it was definitely written to be performed live, and this might be their only chance to do it. So I definitely am very interested in the possibility of hearing Through the Mists of Time live here, and this will be your Malcolm Young tribute here for the night, where you get all pictures and imagery of Malcolm up on the big screen behind him over the years, things like that, to pay tribute to Malcolm Young on this track Through the Mists of Time from the Power Up record. Great song, even though, at first it was a little unorthodox, I think, and kind of took me a little bit to warm up to this song, but definitely a standout, in my opinion, from their most recent album from 2020. Track 12 here, You Shook Me All Night Long from Back in Black. Not going to spend too much time on this one because, what could I possibly say about this classic song? Arguably AC/DC's best-known song ever, and that is arguable because there are a lot of great, very well-known mainstream AC/DC songs out there, but when it comes down to it, it's absolutely going to be in the set list, so why wouldn't I include it here in this ultimate set? It's a song that I can never get tired of hearing. Even though I've heard it 8 million times, I still, every time I hear it, I'm reminded of how great it is, so again, not going to spend too much time here on this track, but You Shook Me All Night Long, absolutely going to be in the set here, so I think it's only fair that it's track number 12 in the ultimate set list. Track 13 here, weighing in at 19 stone, we have Whole Lotta Rosie from the Let There Be Rock record, of course, another live staple. Like I said, there was going to be a great big list here of, songs that they definitely need to do live, especially if there's a real possibility this is the last show they ever do, dependent on how this concert goes and how the band are feeling afterwards. And so a whole lot of Rosie has been a live staple for many, many, many years, and so it will definitely be in this set list here. More crowd participation here from the Bon Scott era for track number 14. I'm going to go with TNT from the High Voltage International release here. When it comes to, some of the most recognizable songs from the Bon era, of course, TNT is always a live staple, right? Great sing-along with Angus at the beginning there, and the lyrics are absolutely brilliant. Brian always did this song justice as well, which I really enjoy some of the live performances of this track with Brian Johnson. So definitely going to be in the set again, and one of those songs that always sounds fantastic live. So for track number 14 here, let's go with TNT. Great song from their debut record. Number 15 here, let's go with Let There Be Rock with that extended guitar solo by Angus. So the guitar solo goes about 15 minutes long or so. Maybe my unpopular ACDC opinion is that I don't always love the big long solo from Angus. It's very monotonous. It's been the same for many years. It doesn't really change it up or anything like that. So that's my unpopular opinion, but nonetheless, it's a mainstay in the ACDC set, and for many people is the highlight of the show, and definitely is a testament to the showmanship of Angus Young. So Let There Be Rock, an amazing track, and that extended guitar solo where Angus gets to really show his showmanship and his talent. So even though I'm not a big fan of the long guitar solo, I can't deny it's some great playing and showmanship by Angus. So track 15 here, gotta go with Let There Be Rock, iconic title track and really lengthy, iconic guitar solo as well. Track number 16 is going to be the last song of the main set here. That's going to be For Those About to Rock. Iconic title track, an amazing song, got a great guitar solo by Angus, and of course, the cannons come up, right, firing at Brian's command. Really awesome stuff. Great showmanship, great imagery as well with the cannons. Love that. And most people would probably have this as the closer of the Encore, but don't worry, I've got other plans for the Encore that I think you guys are going to find to be pretty cool. Time for the Encore here. I'm going to go with Highway to Hell first. Of course, it starts with Angus rising up from under the stage with the devil horns, or that iconic guitar riff to begin things off here. Everybody loves it, right? Everybody's into it. Everybody's got their light up devil horns on like they traditionally do at an AC/DC concert. Great stuff. An iconic song as well. Love this track to death. Awesome title track to, again, my favorite Bon Scott era album here by AC/DC. Another song that absolutely needs to be in the set list here. So the first song of the Encore, all in all, it's track number 17. Gonna go with Highway to Hell. This is where things get kind of interesting. So for the second song of the Encore, I'm gonna go with a real deep cut here. In fact, it's a track that's only been performed by the band live once, and it was with Brian Johnson. I'm gonna go with Ride On, considered by many to be one of the ultimate Bon Scott tracks here. Some great lyrics penned by Bon. It's a timeless track in my opinion, and they did it live once. It was in Paris, France, back, when was this? This was in 2001. I have the bootleg here of this show. Great live recording. It's a really great atmospheric kind of a track, and awesome when done live. Even that one time, it was so great. It's available on YouTube as well if you want to hear it. Great stuff, and so I thought, well, if this is the last AC/DC concert, and again, we don't really know what the future holds for the band, let's do Ride On here as a tribute to Bon Scott, and then on the screen you get the imagery of Bon Scott over the years to kind of pay tribute to Bon, just like they did with Malcolm during Through the Mists of Time, and you get a great solo here by Angus Young, which I thought was probably the highlight of that one performance of Ride On, so definitely something I'd be interested in hearing, and would make for an awesome deep cut to include here in the Encore. And then finally, the last song of the night here, track number 19, All in All, the third song of the Encore. Like I was saying, we really don't know if this is it for AC/DC, or they're going to announce a tour, or maybe a new album, something. We really don't know right now. A lot of that is going to be dependent on this show. So if this is the last AC/DC concert ever, there's only one way they could possibly go out, and it's with a song that has been considered to be the ultimate Bond track, a song that's never been performed live ever with Brian Johnson, and that's It's a Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll. And I can't think of a better message to leave the fans, a better performance to leave the fans with than this track to close things out. An absolutely legendary song. I think its legend has only grown in the time that the band have not done it live since Bond's passing. So it just would be the ultimate way to go out, right? And then on the screen, you'd see a tribute to both Bon and Malcolm and the history of the band at the same time. So kind of all of it comes together there with the bagpipes and everything. I mean, I cannot think of a more appropriate way to go out. And again, if it is the last AC/DC show, this would be the way to go out, in my opinion, with It's a Long Way to the Top if you want to rock and roll. Just great stuff in my opinion, and absolutely should be performed live one last time. So that wraps up the ultimate AC/DC setlist for their Power Trip 2023 return. Definitely what I want to hear live, and again, right, there's a lot of songs that are definite minutes for this set list, and then a few deep cuts that I want to throw in there just to kind of customize it, make it my own, which I'm not expecting them to do, some of these deep cuts, but I definitely would enjoy it. You can see my set list right over here. Put a lot of thought into this, and I do think that, when it comes down to it, acdc, our Ultimate Showmen, are going to do a fantastic performance regardless of their age, regardless of the speculation around their future. If it is the last acdc show, they're going to go out in style. I'm pretty confident in that. So that said, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, turn the bell for notifications so you never miss a new upload. Not this bell, but the notification bell, so you never miss a new upload. And let me go down to the comment section below. What songs do you want to hear acdc perform live at Power Trip? And also, stay tuned because I will be covering the performance at Power Trip on October 6th. When the performance is over, I will be giving you guys a set list review and a reaction to the show. So definitely stay tuned for that. And until next time, it's the CD guy, Johnny Z, signing off. Take care, everybody.